Developing right now on Morning News Now, protests and pushback in the Middle East. Crowds of demonstrators calling for an immediate ceasefire and hostage deal days after Israeli forces recovered the bodies of 6 hostages in Gaza. Israel's prime minister vowing to push forward despite the pressure.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
All this is one of the 6 hostages, an Israeli-American, is laid to rest. We have team coverage. Plus, the race for the White House now heading for the home stretch. November 5th, about 2 months away. And new poll numbers show both candidates are neck and neck, both nationwide and in key states. VP Harris taking her battleground blitz to Pennsylvania with President Biden. And former President Trump set to make several campaign stops later this week. We're going to have the very latest. Also this morning, thousands of union hotel workers on the picket line during one of the busiest weeks of the year. The labor dispute against 3 of America's biggest hotel chains. And back to school stress, not just for students. That's right, parents feeling the pressure as their kids return to class. We're going to break down the problem and ways for mom and dad to ease that anxiety. Good to have you with us as many students head back to class, many parents head back to work. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. We begin this Tuesday morning with the ongoing protests in Israel and the growing pressure to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Thousands of demonstrators continue to take to the streets of Tel Aviv today. They're calling on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a ceasefire deal with Hamas, a deal that would bring the remaining hostages home. It has been nearly 11 months since the war between Israel and Hamas began. These latest protests come days after the Israeli army recovered the bodies of 6 hostages in a tunnel. Those hostages had been held by Hamas in Gaza since the October 7th attack on Israel. Mourners came together yesterday in Jerusalem to pay their respects for Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who was one of the 6 hostages killed by Hamas. Speaking publicly for the first time since those hostages were found, Prime Minister Netanyahu asked for forgiveness from the families of the hostages for not freeing them. He also said Israel will not make any new concessions to Hamas.
I would define the end of the war in Gaza. When Hamas no longer rules Gaza. We throw them out. I would define the end of the war in World War II when the Nazis no longer rule Germany. To do that, you need to have a military victory, and you have to have also the political victory to destroy their governance.
We have team coverage ahead this hour, including reaction from the White House and where things may go from here. But let's begin with NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley with the latest from Tel Aviv.
I'm standing here in what Israelis are now calling Hostage Square. This has been the scene of protests ever since those October 7th terror attacks back last year started the latest round of fighting. And now we're about to see that happening again. A 3rd day of protests centered here in central Tel Aviv is going to be starting. The idea is really to shut down the entire country and pile pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to get him to come to some kind of hostage negotiation deal that would free the nearly 100 hostages who are still thought to be in the Gaza Strip. Dozens of them are thought to have already been killed or succumbed to their wounds on October 7th. But now this whole country is really uniting in grief after the discovery of 6 of the corpses of those young hostages in the southern part of the Gaza Strip on Sunday. And this was announced on Sunday, and it has caused massive unrest, including hours-long strike, on Monday that affected the entire country. It ended up being mostly symbolic, but these protests are now happening every night and attracting really hundreds of thousands of people. A lot of their anger, of course, is directed at Hamas, who pulled the trigger, but much of the anger is directed towards the Prime Minister. And we heard from him finally last night in an address to the country, a press conference where he said that he had asked the hostages' families for forgiveness, but then he pivoted directly into an explanation of his main barrier to these negotiations, his intransigence over the issue of the Philadelphia corridor. And this is just another name for the border between the Gaza Strip and Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. He insists on maintaining an Israeli troop presence there because he says weapons are being smuggled in the tunnels underneath that border zone. Now, this has been unacceptable to the Egyptians, though they have negotiated a bit, but it's unacceptable to Hamas to keep troops there. And those who are close to these negotiations are saying that is the main hurdle ahead of getting to a deal and freeing those remaining hostages. And that is why it is a main source of anger for people here in Israel.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. Let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Monica, good morning. So we heard from President Biden yesterday saying he did not think Netanyahu has done enough to secure a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. As far as the White House is concerned, where do things stand right now when it comes to trying to reach this ceasefire deal?
Well, they're really working around the clock, Joe, to try and secure a deal. But it's those outstanding issues for both Israel and Hamas that have made this so complicated. So you had this bridging proposal in the last 2 weeks where certainly the Biden administration thought they were as close as ever to potentially getting an agreement here. Then you had the discovery of the bodies and the hostages that were murdered this weekend, which has now just added urgency to trying to get something done. So this is a place now where the president is saying that Prime Minister Netanyahu should do more, but a U.S. official is expanding on that to say, of course, he blames Hamas for the deaths of these hostages and for starting this war because of the October 7th attack. But he is trying to apply more pressure on the Israeli government to try to potentially close a couple of those gaps, like the border between Egypt and Gaza that Matt was mentioning. That's one area, perhaps, but it didn't seem like the prime minister is willing to make concessions there necessarily, even though some of his own colleagues in his own cabinet in Israel have said that that might be a place where they could try to compromise to come to some kind of deal. Joe.
So, Monica, if no deal is reached, where does the Biden administration go from here? I mean, what is the level of frustration within the White House?
Certainly for months, they have been in this posture where they feel they are so close, and then it's just these last couple of things that have to come together. And in the last few weeks, there was some optimism that seemed like the latest round of talks could get to that place to start to at least maybe implement phase one of a framework or a deal, which would have meant the release of some hostages that could have included Hersh Goldberg Poland, for instance. So now they have to go back to the mediators and have a conversation about what kind of hostages or how many could be included if there was another phase one that could get some kind of agreement. But right now, the Biden administration is also discussing another option, which would be a sort of final take it or leave it type deal where the U.S. would be willing to say, this is it, this is the last best final offer before the American-led negotiation portion of these talks might stop. Now, they haven't decided on that. There's no final decision, but that is something I'm told that National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan communicated as an option to the U.S. hostage families when he spoke to them on Sunday, Joe.
Hey, Monica, in his comments yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that he couldn't believe the pressure he says the White House is putting on Israel's government over a ceasefire. Just what is the current state of relations between the U.S. and Israel? I mean, what kind of pressure is he talking about?
So much of this is political, and so much of this has been part of that in terms of what has been difficult, because there has been the diplomatic push and the efforts that we have seen when Secretary Blinken or the CIA director and top Biden officials go and they try to really do this and hammer out some of these details. But then there's this friction between the president and the prime minister, and you saw a little bit about how that's been playing out publicly, certainly with the president now a little more willing to criticize the prime minister. But I was out on the South Lawn yesterday and we were trying to follow up and ask him, well, what would you like Prime Minister Netanyahu to be doing now? And he said, look, we're still in the middle of negotiations and I'm not negotiating with him. I'm negotiating with my partners in Egypt and Qatar. We're doing the mediation and there is still hope. He said, hope springs eternal, that maybe a deal can coalesce. But that relationship, as thorny as it has been in that place for some time. So I think they're trying to argue that they can set aside the politics to maybe get a deal. At least that's what the U.S. would like to see. Though in Israel right now, Prime Minister Netanyahu is as dug in as he's ever been.
All right.
Joe.
Monica, thank you so much. Appreciate it. For more on all this, let's now turn to former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, Avi Meir. Avi, good to have you with us. I mean, we saw this nationwide strike threaten to bring Israel's economy to a standstill. We're still seeing these protests taking place with demonstrators calling for an immediate ceasefire in the war. With the killings of these hostages, do you think Israel is reaching a breaking point right now? Just what is the mood there right now?
Well, Joe, it's hard to overstate the intense emotions that Israelis are feeling right now, this profound grief over these 6 young people who were murdered by Hamas while in captivity. combined with the sense of deep frustration and anger that perhaps those hostages could have been brought home if a deal had been completed earlier. And so you've seen these hundreds of thousands of Israelis pouring into the streets in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and other cities across the country, demanding that the government do whatever it can, exhaust all options, seemingly at pretty much any price, just to bring those hostages home, as many of them are still alive as possible. We don't know how many there are, but we know that time is running out. And as we know now, Hamas has said openly they will not stop. They will not even hesitate to kill hostages if they feel that an Israeli rescue operation is in the offing, as they, of course, demonstrated horrifically the other day. And so I think many hostage families are feeling desperately that this is their loved one's last opportunity to be brought home alive.
Prime Minister Netanyahu seemed defiant in his first public remarks yesterday since the bodies of those hostages were found. He said, quote, "I don't believe that anyone serious could actually say now you need to make more concessions." What are the takeaways from his remarks there?
Look, the prime minister, I think, is channeling a view that he has held for quite a long time and is held by others in his own cabinet. Of course, there are other views, as your correspondent mentioned earlier, even within his own cabinet, saying that these are risks that we can take, that we can perhaps countenance some kind of security arrangement in that Philadelphia corridor, that border between Gaza and Egypt, that would enable us to still maintain some kind of control, some kind of surveillance over the smuggling that Hamas is doing there while not actually being physically present ourselves. But he seems to say that that is not enough, that in fact Israel does need to maintain a presence there, that we cannot risk a situation like October 7th, which of course was facilitated by the smuggling in of arms of individuals and of cash over so many years. And that seems to be the point that he is sticking to at this time. Now, the question is whether that will continue if these protests intensify and really bring the country to a standstill in the days and weeks ahead. One wonders whether the prime minister will feel himself compelled to concede that point as well.
Do you think there's anyone who can force Netanyahu's hand right now to cut a deal?
Look, it's extremely difficult to bring down a government in Israel. It would essentially take members of the current coalition bolting, leaving in order to bring down the government. I think it would take the risk of that happening for him to concede. It's not clear which members of his coalition would be willing to do that in order to bring about a ceasefire. We know which members of his coalition would bolt if a ceasefire were enacted under the current terms, which of course is what he's concerned about. But that's really what it would take. If there would be some kind of a no confidence motion in the Knesset, Israel's parliament, that too could perhaps bring down the government. That doesn't seem to be in the offing at the moment. So I think right now protesters are relying on their own intense activity to send the message to the government that this will not stand, in hopes of forcing the hand of either the prime minister or members of the coalition and ensuring that some kind of a ceasefire deal is able to go through.
All right. Avi Meir, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Now that Labor Day weekend has come and gone, the race for the White House is entering the final stretch with Election Day about 2 months away. Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off another battleground blitz, campaigning alongside President Biden in Pennsylvania, where she emphasized her commitment to union workers. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more from Pittsburgh.
In the Steel City, President Biden and Vice President Harris in a rare joint campaign appearance, courting organized labor on Labor Day.
When union wages go up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, all workplaces are safer. When unions are strong, America is strong.
The vice president saying that U.S. steel should remain domestically owned rather than be sold to a Japanese company.
I trust her.
The latest attempt to win over blue-collar workers in critical swing states.
I'll tell you something. Kamala and I are damn proud that we protected the pensions of over 1 million workers and retirees.
Harris visiting Michigan earlier in the day.
We are out here running like we are the underdog in this race because we know what we are fighting for.
While her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, hit Wisconsin.
Really simple. It's really simple. When unions are strong, America is strong.
Recent polls show Vice President Harris doing better than former President Trump nationally and in key battlegrounds by a handful of points, but within the margin of error. Compare that with polling that mostly showed Trump with a narrow edge before Biden's departure from the race.
We needed a new far.
Natalie Glaspie and her husband Christian here in Pittsburgh have been union members for decades.
We're a little bit more excited for having a younger, more upbeat candidate that's going to stick up for us.
Notably, though he's courted rank-and-file workers throughout his campaign, former President Trump was not on the trail. He is expected here in Pennsylvania for a town hall on Wednesday, and he's hoping an updated indictment in the federal election interference case against him will bring new momentum.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
All right, thanks to Gabe Gutierrez for that report. Let's talk more about the state of the election with NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, good to have you with us. All right, Gabe touched on it briefly in his report just now, but tell us more about some of these newest national polls, what they're showing. I mean, we're entering the final leg of the race, which is when a lot of voters really do start paying attention.
Yeah, Joe, I think two words sum up the national polls, and that is close and changed. Close because we are actually seeing a very close contest in these polls, including from Quinnipiac and the Wall Street Journal, all showing Kamala Harris ahead by 1 point within the margin of error, and a recent USA Today Suffolk poll that had Harris up by 5 points in a multi-candidate field. Again, that's within the margin of error.
Let's break it down and focus on the battleground states. After all, you do have to win the Electoral College to become president. What are we learning from the average polls for those key states, both in the Sun Belt and in the Midwest?
Yeah, Joe, it's also changed and close. Recent polls from Bloomberg News and Morning Consult find Harris and Trump either tied or Harris slightly ahead, in Wisconsin actually even a little bit more. And what's important to note, Joe, both for the national polls and in the battleground state polls, this is a changed contest since Joe Biden was in the race. Back when Joe Biden was still in the contest, it was Trump who was ahead within the margin of error nationally and in battleground states. And so I do think that as we end up heading into that changed contest is very remarkable.
Clearly the polls show it's very tight. Clearly this has been a rather unpredictable summer for this election, but with a little over 2 months to go till we hit the election, historically, barring some kind of October surprise, how likely is it we're going to see major changes to these numbers? Are things kind of baked in now, or could they still be fluid?
Look, overall, the political climate is baked in, and according to the political science over the last several decades of presidential contests. But Joe, when we end up having close contests like the one that I was describing, 1, 2, 3, 4 point difference, that sometimes a major event can end up moving numbers. I'm reminded of that DWI story, old story involving George W. Bush right before the 2000 presidential election. That did move numbers and change that race in the final days, as did the James Comey email revelations regarding Hillary Clinton in 2016. And Joe, it's important to note we have a presidential debate coming up just in a week, another big event that potentially could change this contest.
Just overall, does it seem like there are many undecideds out there right now, or people who can be swung either way?
Joe, usually it's about 10 to 15% of the electorate that's determined to be persuadable. Undecided could end up changing their minds. And yes, absolutely, we end up seeing people, Democrats, Republicans, who seem to be locked in their choice. But that persuadable middle is always crucial in our elections.
All right, Mark Murray. Mark, thank you so much. After a record weekend for travel over Labor Day weekend, many Americans are starting to make plans for the winter holiday. But now a nationwide hotel strike at major chains like Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott could throw a kink in those plans. More than 10,000 unionized hotel workers walked off the job this weekend, and more plan to follow suit in the coming days. NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton spoke with some of those workers.
They say that their wages have barely increased, even as travel has rebounded and brought new money to all of the major hotel chains. Take a look.
Better pay, health care, and workloads.
Contract. When do we want it? Now.
That's what more than 10,000 housekeepers, cooks, and staffers say they're spending their Labor Day on picket lines demanding. In Greenwich, Connecticut, Boston, San Francisco, Seattle, San Jose, and even Hawaii. This as the workers' union approves strikes in additional cities later this week.
It's hard to build savings. We're living oftentimes paycheck to paycheck.
You've given this company 25 years.
Yes.
Are you surprised that This is where you are 25 years later on a picket line?
Yeah, that's why first time we do that, because how they treat the people is not make sense.
The strikes center around Hyatt, Marriott, and Hilton hotel chains. Marriott has not responded for requests for comment, while the Hyatt and Hilton both say they are willing to continue negotiations.
We're all in this together.
Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont supporting the workers.
They took some real hits during COVID, just like the hotels did. They flattened their wages. Now give them a chance to catch up.
A mí me duele mucho, me da mucho sentimiento.
Sonia, a Hyatt housekeeper, tells me it hurts me a lot. It makes me emotional. With staffers walking off the job, many hotels are modifying services and amenities. But some guests say they understand.
Sure, they really got to the point of being fed up. People like to work and have fair wages.
Travel experts tell us that this kind of holiday strike puts immense pressure on the major hotels. They know that there is more travel coming in November and December as we get closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas. They don't want this kind of conflict. They don't want staff walking out. So those experts believe that they're going to come back to the table soon, and these workers will likely get a new deal. Back to you.
All right, Antonia, thank you. Weather now from Texas to Florida. You got to get your umbrellas ready. Showers continue to cover the south. Let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather with meteorologist Angie Lastman. Angie, good morning.
Hi there, Joe. We've got rain in the forecast. You got that right. You need those umbrellas, especially across places like Texas this morning. You're waking up to some of those flood watches, and these are going to likely stay in effect for a while. We've got a couple of days where we're really going to be in and out of the rain thanks to a low that's kind of just hanging around. But here's the deal right now. There's the flood watch centered across San Angelo. This rain is going to continue. You can see pockets of some really heavy rain working through that region, not just through the day today, but also into tomorrow, too. And no surprise, we've got really saturated grounds there. So any additional rain, not going to be great for the flooding concerns. Those will likely last. There's the low that we're watching, kind of just hanging out on the Texas coast. It'll move a little closer to the coast here as we get into tomorrow. We also have this stationary front that's leaving us kind of with that instability here through the next couple of days as well. And again, stretched from Texas all the way to Florida by the time we get into tomorrow. It'll be the rain in the forecast for folks there. We'll see that kind of continue to lend itself to the flooding concerns, not just again for today, but into the next couple of days. Here's the flash flood risk for today, though, specifically centered around San Angelo and then down towards the coast, Corpus Christi. That's where we have those slight risks of flash flooding to potentially occur through the day today. And anywhere from about 1 inch to 3 inches is what we're going to expect here in some of the higher amounts as we wrap up our work week and get into Friday. But we could see some impressive rainfall amounts in between here and there. And again, this stretches from Texas all the way back to Florida, right along the Gulf Coast over the next couple of days. Otherwise, if you're looking for good news when it comes to weather, it is great for most of the country. We've got really fall-like conditions settled in for parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes, waking up to temperatures in some spots in the 40s and the 50s and only topping out into the 70s across parts of the Northeast. We'll see plenty of sunshine for this chunk of the country as well as the middle of the country. So we're dealing with that rain along the southern tier, but the central plains to the northern plains look pretty good. We'll see the fire concern be something we'll have to watch for out west as we get into your Tuesday and beyond. But by the time we get into the midweek, those temperatures are going to start to warm up for the Southwest. So we have heat alerts that will go into effect tomorrow. They include parts of California and the rest of the desert Southwest. And it's not just going to be warm, it's going to be really warm. We'll see potential for temperatures to head to the triple digits. And this is going to be something we deal with for the long haul, really until the end of our work week. So summer, not so much wrapping up for folks there. But notice the middle of the country, the below average conditions will be out there here for us as we wrap up the work week in parts of the plains and the Midwest. Unfortunately, though, the Southeast, they're going to need to keep the umbrella handy because we've still got rain in the forecast here as we come to the end of our work week. So it's that little transitional period, Joe, where we've got some cooler air in place here, some warm temperatures on tap out west, and some rain in between, of course.
Sounds like September.
Yeah, exactly. You got that right.
All right, Angie, thank you so much. Much more to come here on Morning News. Now, later this hour, a welcome side effect of those popular weight loss drugs. It has nothing to do with your health. We're going to break down the impacts all those prescriptions are having on America's economy. Up first after the break, Pope Francis arrives at the first stop of his ambitious Asia tour. We're going to take you there next. Welcome back. Indonesia is welcoming Pope Francis this morning. It's the first stop of his ambitious tour across the Asian Rim and the Pacific Ocean. This 11-day overseas trip is his longest and farthest trip since he became Pope. It'll include visits to Singapore, East Timor, and Papua New Guinea. NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer is in Beijing with the latest.
Pope Francis arrived in Indonesia, home to the world's largest Muslim population, to launch a trip that is longer and more ambitious than any other in the 11 years that he has been leading the Catholic Church. At the airport in Jakarta, the Pope was greeted by dignitaries, Catholic leaders, and children who gave him flowers, spices, and fruit. Shortly after, he was welcomed by refugees and migrants, and there are no other public events for him today. Catholics are a very small community in Indonesia, which is a secular country, but one experiencing religious strains. Promoting interfaith dialogue is going to be a key focus of the time that he spends there. On Wednesday, the Pope and the Grand Imam will take a symbolic walk through a tunnel of friendship that connects the city's Istiqlal Mosque to the nearby Jakarta Cathedral. And then on Thursday, the pontiff will lead Mass for thousands of followers. It's a challenging trip for Pope Francis. 4 countries in less than 12 days, logging some 20,000 miles between Papua New Guinea, East Timor, and Singapore. It would be a marathon for any traveler, but the Pope is 87 years old and uses a wheelchair, so health is going to be a concern for the medical team making the journey with him. Vatican officials say that, quote, reaching the peripheries of Catholicism remains a priority for the Pope, as well as promoting interreligious ties and care for the environment. And he's expected to deliver those messages to people throughout this trip.
All right, Janice, thank you. More international headlines now. An airplane linked to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been seized in the U.S. NBC's Claudio Lavanga has that and other world news. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. The American government has seized the plane used by the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Now, officials say that the plane was bought illegally through a shell company and that it was smuggled out of the U.S. Now, the plane was seized in the Dominican Republic and transferred to Florida. Meanwhile, a Venezuelan judge has issued an arrest warrant for the opposition's former presidential candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, citing various crimes, including conspiracy, falsifying of documents, and usurpation of powers. Now, Gonzalez has not made any public appearances since the day after the election. Now to Turkey, where officials are investigating an assault on 2 U.S. Marines yesterday. A video of the attack shows a man placing a bag over the head of one of the service members. The U.S. Embassy in Turkey and local officials say at least 15 suspects have been detained in connection with the attack. In a statement, embassy officials thanked authorities for their swift response and the ongoing investigation. And we end up at London's King's Cross railway station, where hundreds of disappointed Harry Potter fans booed after their annual Back to Hogwarts tradition did not happen this year. Back in July, fans were strongly discouraged from gathering at the station, as they do at this time of the year. However, that did not deter fans from showing up in costumes. Last year, thousands turned up to the station, causing operational issues. A Network Rail spokesperson said their priority must always be their passengers on their journey. Well, the real ones, not the ones that only exist in books and movies, Joe.
Understandable. That should be the priority. All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
Yeah.
As we mark the end of a summer of record-breaking travel, the TSA is reporting its 10 busiest days ever all came this summer. But not everyone is thrilled about this travel boom. Some popular destinations in Europe are putting restrictions on visitors. And here in the U.S., one city inundated with tourists is considering a ban. Where that is just might surprise you. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber has that story.
It's the last days of a summer of record-breaking travel that's overwhelmed vacation hotspots around the world. Barcelona visitors hoping to enjoy an outdoor snack, sprayed with water guns by protesters chanting, "Tourists, go home." And in Sintra, Portugal, signs warning of a traffic jam in paradise.
Sintra era o Éden na Terra, mas agora transformou-se no inferno.
Tourism turning into over-tourism, and cities are now cracking down. Venice this summer charging a fee for day trippers. Barcelona banning tourist rental apartments,
Amsterdam capping the number of cruise ships and planning to ultimately close its cruise terminal entirely. And now the fight coming to an unlikely place, Juneau, Alaska. Population around 30,000. Every summer, passengers go on cruises to catch a glimpse of Alaska's stunning glaciers and wildlife. Then each day, thousands flood into Juneau, pouring into shops, going on excursions, setting up a battle between locals who love their small-town way of life and the tourists who desperately want a taste of it.
The cruise industry brings massive numbers of people on a concentrated schedule and spews them into a city like a tidal wave and then sucks them all out and leaves.
Carla Hartz lived in Juneau since she was a little kid and says the influx of people is inescapable. Cruise ships stopped in Juneau more than 700 times in 2023, with nearly 1.7 million passengers, up 74% from a decade ago.
All of the areas that the locals used to go to sport fish, to kayak, is all blanketed by whale watching boats.
Hoping for a day of rest, she started an initiative called Ship-Free Saturdays, pushing to ban large ships that can hold 250 passengers from docking in Juneau once a week and on the 4th of July. People will vote on it October 1st.
This is bad for our family. It's bad for our community.
McHugh Pierre is the chair of Protect Juneau's Future, a group campaigning against the initiative, worried the local economy will take a big hit. After all, the cruise industry was responsible for more than $300 million in spending in Juneau last year and nearly 4,000 jobs.
We expect there would be about 400 direct tourism-related jobs that would go away. And, businesses would shut down on Saturday. There's no reason to be open for locals. There's not enough people.
The city's already taking steps to limit cruise ships. Starting in 2026, it's capping cruise passengers at 16,000 a day and 12,000 on Saturdays. But for those who feel the soul of the city is at stake, they want more.
We know what Juneau was before it became just an exploited extension of the cruise ships. We know what we had and what we lost, and we want it back.
Ellison Barber, NBC News.
Coming up, out of the hospital, 49ers rookie Ricky Pearsall recovering after being shot in an armed robbery in San Francisco. The latest on his condition as he fights to try and get back on the football field. Plus, parents under pressure this back-to-school season. Why it's not just students feeling stressed. Your weekly check-in is next on Morning News Now. We're back now with the latest on the San Francisco 49ers rookie who was shot during an attempted robbery over the weekend. After just one day, Ricky Pearsall was released from the hospital with a new mission, returning to the field. We get the latest from NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky.
San Francisco 49er Ricky Pearsall recovering after being shot in the chest over the weekend. The 23-year-old seen here Saturday afternoon, walking with the help of first responders, moments after being shot during an attempted robbery.
He was walking alone when a suspect approached him and attempted to commit an armed robbery using a gun.
Officials say the 17-year-old didn't target Pearsall for his NFL fame, but his Rolex watch. And during a struggle in the city's famed Union Square, both were wounded when multiple shots were fired.
We have 2 medics on scene at Green Grant.
Responding officer Jolie Harrell telling the San Francisco Chronicle she applied pressure to Pearsall's wounds, telling him, "Be strong, like you're on the field." Pearsall's mother sharing on social media, the bullet exited out of his back and missed vital organs. "My son was spared today by the grace of God." After a highlight reel college career at Florida. In April, the Niners drafted Pearsall in the first round, with the wide receiver's big NFL debut set for next week. On Sunday, the team announced he had been released from the hospital and continues to recover.
This was a terrible and rare incident in Union Square.
The shooting putting public safety in San Francisco back in the spotlight.
This kind of violence is simply unacceptable in our city.
As police boost area patrols over the Labor Day holiday, the teen suspect remains in custody. The district attorney overseeing this case says the decision to charge that 17-year-old as a minor or adult should be made in the next 36 hours.
All right, Morgan, thank you so much. Let's get to our weekly mental health check-in. This morning, we're talking about an anxious time for kids and their parents, the return to class, which is happening for many today. Plus, Game On, how new research digs into the positive side of video gaming. Here to help us break it all down is Dr. Sue Varma. She is a board-certified psychiatrist and the author of the book Practical Optimism. Dr. Varma, always good to have you with us. So let's start with back to school time for kids. Of course, it can bring some stress and anxiety, not just for kids, but also parents. So what should parents be doing for their kids and for themselves?
So the first thing is, Joe, that we have to embrace the chaos, because regardless of what was going on during your summer, some people say my summers are more chaotic than the school year because at least I have childcare during the school year. So in the sense that your kids are occupied. So first I would say embrace the chaos. The second thing I would say is embrace the calendar, because planning is so important. What is happening after school? Who are taking the kids to the sport? What's happening during the weekends? A lot of parents are spending their entire weekends shuffling kids around to their sports games. And then I would say lean into the community and ask for help. Not to mention the fact that if there's anything you can do to sprinkle a little bit of joy, a little bit of summer, whatever it is that you enjoyed, whether it was a regular meal, a barbecue, having friends over, relaxation, nature. So we don't want to lose the summer, the joy, the benefits, but we also want to be able to plan as much and anticipate the needs of scheduling in advance.
I like that. Sprinkle joy. All right, let's talk about some research from Swinburne University of Technology in Australia. It suggests that finding out more about your ancestry can actually be beneficial to your mental health. So what's the connection here?
Joe, I love this study because I'm a big believer in us knowing our identity, knowing our roots, and having a sense of meaning that transcends who we are at this moment. I think that knowing our identity really sets us up for resilience because it says, hey, my people have been through a lot. It doesn't matter where your people are from. They did a lot to come to the United States. They have been through struggles. They might have faced challenges, discrimination, racism, bias, and yet here you are today. They took chances, right? They had to fight against whatever it was, oppression, not having access to education, to resources, not having financial means. And it helps to connect us to other people outside of ourselves, gives us a sense of meaning, belonging, purpose. And it says, we have been through a lot, and it reminds you of your own agency, and it says, I can get through this. So I love, and it also gives us an opportunity to connect with elders in our community, gives them a sense of meaning to say, hey, I've got a lot of stories. I can't believe you want to listen. And it can bond us, and it just gives us, it grounds us. I think that there's something really beautiful about knowing where you came from, what the struggles were, how you as a family intergenerationally dealt with it. But also it tells you about intergenerational traumas. And it says, oh, I get it. I might need mental health care because, this uncle, this grandparent had a history of suicide or bipolar disorder. I think that as a therapist, I see a lot of people come into my office who don't know about their family history of mental illness. So this is another opportunity to know that and get the help that you might need as well.
I feel like conversations about intergenerational trauma have really become much more common just over the last couple of years. All right, finally, let's talk about video games. They obviously have a bad reputation for keeping kids on the couch, just glued to their screens. But a new study out of Japan found they could actually improve your mental well-being. So tell us about that, because I still think there's probably such a thing as too much gaming, right?
Yes. So it was very interesting. So this study out of Japan looked at 90,000 participants, and it looked at, kids anywhere from like 9 or 10 to the age of adults to the age of 60. And what they found was what they described as a causal relationship, which is very interesting because, we've never been able to pinpoint to say giving somebody a gaming console is going to improve and that video games are the cause of the improvement. But one thing I want to be able to say is that this was done during the pandemic at a time when we were social distancing. And what they found was that people who were given this console, basically they weren't given it for free. They had to buy it, but they had the opportunity to buy it, which was a big deal back then because of supply chain limitations. They found that, over the course of several months, that their mood improved, their psychological well-being improved. But up to a point, after 3 hours, that was considered too much. So we have to keep in mind what is happening after 3 hours. Well, you're losing any kind of social interaction, especially in present day where we are able to interact meaningfully be with people in person. It might interfere with sleep. It interferes with exercise, nutrition, homework, academic achievement. So keep that in mind. There are many benefits, definitely hand-eye coordination. You might be connecting with other people. There was an interesting study that said that surgeons who played video games as kids were more likely to be more accurate in the work that they did because of that hand-eye coordination and a variety of other things. So again, as a parent myself, I'm just going to put this as one data point. I'm not necessarily going to send my kids out to be playing endless hours of video games.
Good point. Got to find that right balance. All right, Dr. Sue Varma, always good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Staying on mental health news, some tiny horses are helping people in a way you might not expect. Here's reporter Gordon Tokumatsu with NBC4 in Los Angeles.
Smile for the camera.
What's adorable, musical, lovable, and uniquely qualified to dry your tears, warm your heart, and speed mental healing? Victoria Nodef Netanyahu, a Calabasas artist with a background in horse dressage, has the answer.
We go nonstop, visiting people in crisis and going to hospitals.
They're so unusual, so cute, that eyes light up when they enter the room. Victoria started small, bringing smiles to the faces of patients in a veterans hospital 16 years ago. But it wasn't long before demand grew. Where can we find these little horses, people were asking? The horses were a hit.
They could be 4 years old, they could be 104, because we've seen people of every age. The horses have a positive impact.
What does that do mentally for the firefighter?
So it takes you out of the environment.
Among Victoria's newest clients, the LA City Fire Department, where firefighters see the most traumatic things imaginable, sometimes on a daily basis. Captain Adam Van Gerpen explains, seeing a small horse instantly gives your brain a break. So valuable when it's processing something terrible.
A very traumatic train accident, car accident, they can come out actually to the scene, not only for firefighters, but for the public.
The horses work with the mayor's crisis response team. Victoria and her large van rushing to locations where they're needed when trauma and violence can sometimes be too much to bear. Until a small horse playing a keyboard walks up, that is, and everyone gets to take a little break.
It just makes me feel so good, and like all this hard work is worth it.
And by the way, these horses are not for profit. Victoria is doing this with the help of private donations. A non-profit bringing cheer to people at their most challenging moments, supported by people who see the ability of animals to soothe the soul, one carefully coiffed tail at a time.
That was adorable. Our thanks to Gordon Tokumatsu for that report. Coming up, you could call it a shot in the arm for America's economy. Those popular weight loss drugs now having some welcome side effects that go far beyond health. We're going to break down the financial benefits next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. There's no doubt that weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy have taken America by storm. A recent estimate from J.P. Morgan finds that by 2030, about 30 million Americans could be on them. Now, analysts say this might not only be good for physical health, but the health of our economy as well. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans explains how.
No question, GLP-1 weight loss drugs are popular. And new research is looking into how a nation eating less food and healthier food on GLP-1s could change the U.S. economy.
There are going to be these lifestyle changes that might really benefit us as a society as people are able to be more active. We might be able to be in the workforce longer. Because we just have more energy.
Leo Feller's analytics firm Numerator has been looking into the economic benefits of GLP-1 usage and says the drug could help reverse a decades-long decline in labor force participation. With a recent Goldman Sachs analysis predicting that if 60 million Americans go on GLP-1 drugs in the next 4 years, it could add an extra 1% to the nation's GDP, about $250 billion. Plus, they say, lowered rates of obesity and heart disease could lower the financial burdens they place on family members and the healthcare system. And that could save households as well as insurers and hospitals a lot of money down the road. And many people using the drug for weight loss are also changing their shopping habits. Numerator has been tracking the grocery spending of households on GLP-1s and found some significant shifts in what people are eating.
We see households pulling back on things like breakfast items. We see them cutting back on candies, on snacks, but we do also see them adding things into their basket, such as salads, fish, yogurt, lean proteins in general.
He says that families using the drug for weight loss spent between 6 and 9% less on groceries on average. And that's already making food manufacturers and grocery chains rethink their offerings. Like Nestle, which recently launched a new line of frozen meals tailored for people on GLP-1s with higher protein, good fiber, and smaller portions.
If consumers want something healthier, how do we actually accommodate that change in demand?
Even retail and grocery giant Walmart has said it's found GLP-1 users are buying slightly less at their stores. In the world of grocery stores, where profit margins are razor thin, even a small change in consumer trends could mean big changes for companies. At the same time, while GLP-1 usage might slightly decrease food consumption, Feller says that it could have benefits for other sectors of the economy.
We're going to also have a boost to clothing retailers as people are changing their wardrobe because they've managed to lose some weight. You might be able to go to workout classes a little bit more easily. You might be able to walk and go on hikes. This is a big impact on the U.S., similar to other big drug innovations that we've had that allow people to live longer and healthier lives.
Christine Romans, NBC News.
Some more financial news now. During her rally in Pittsburgh yesterday, Vice President Harris voiced opposition to the sale of American steel, saying it should remain in domestic hands. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with more on that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. That is right. So Vice President Harris says she opposes the sale of U.S. steel to Japan's Nippon Steel. At a Labor Day rally in Pittsburgh, Harris says U.S. steel should remain domestically owned and operated, echoing the arguments of President Biden. The companies announced the $14 billion deal last December. U.S. Steel and its shareholders backed the takeover, but the United Steelworkers Union, which has endorsed Harris, is against the deal. Hedge fund Elliott Management now reportedly owns enough of Southwest Airlines stock to call for a special shareholders meeting. Elliott, which is one of the more powerful activist investors, has demanded Southwest CEO and chairman be ousted, laying out plans to nominate directors to the airline's board. The two sides are scheduled to meet on September 9th. And spending by Americans on travel continues to outpace pre-pandemic levels. A new report by Bank of America says that's particularly the case for international trips. Overall, spending is down slightly from last year, but it's still much higher than 2019, up more than 10% per household. In a recent survey by the Conference Board, nearly 20% of Americans said they plan to vacation abroad in the next 6 months. Falling airfares are helping to support travel demand this year, Joe.
It seems like everyone's traveling internationally, and 90% of those people are going to Portugal.
Oh my, yes. There's somebody there. One of the producers is there right now.
See, there you go. Everyone's going to Portugal. There you go. All right. Silvana, thanks so much.
You got it.
Coming up, she is changing the game. Up next, we're going to introduce you to the star player of a high school football team in Texas who's responding to doubters with her skills on the field. Watching Morning News now. It might be Tuesday morning, but we're going under the Friday night lights for some Texas football. One player at a school near Dallas is breaking the mold and proving doubters wrong with every snap of the ball. Reporter Vince Sims from our affiliate station, KXAS in Dallas, has that story.
Small-town Ponder in Denton County has a population of just over 2,000 people. Like many Texas towns, high school football is king. Here we go. When Ponder's high school team takes the field, they have their queen.
It's right there. Here. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. I think we have a pretty good chance of making playoffs, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Ponder senior Kylie Watt is a long snapper on the boys' varsity football team.
So this is my 5th season playing. I started in 7th grade. I had the head coach as my PE teacher, and he was always talking to me about it. I think it was a joke at first, but then I actually considered it, and so I asked my parents, and they were like, sure, come on.
Ever since joining, she's fit right in, feeling no different than anyone else.
I don't think it's any different from being a guy. I feel like I'm a part of the team. I've never felt different from everybody else. It's pretty much all equal, so I've never felt estranged or different from anybody else. So.
And apparently, the opposition doesn't see her differently either.
Back in 8th grade, I got pretty nasty concussion. I got dropped on my head. I was playing running back.
Drop back, drop back. Having a girl playing on the boys' team is not a new or trick play for Ponder head football coach Marcus Schultz.
I was the head football coach at Humble High School down in Houston. I was down there for 2 years, and we had a female athlete that was on our football program there as well. And so, having that opportunity with Rocket down in Houston, I was used to it, and so I was obviously open arms to it.
Here we go. Hey, we're live right here. Let's step down.
Again, she's not fearful of it. She's ready for it, and we're blessed that she's out here with us.
Watt knows a lot of eyes are on her, but she's not here to prove a point.
I love it. Definitely have a passion for it. It's probably my favorite sport out of the three I play.
Unless it's to her haters.
Yes. Some 55-year-old dude was like, I hope she gets blown up out of the A-gap on punt. I was like, oh my gosh. Don't care about what other people think. Like, do what you want to do, especially if it's what's best for you. Just kind of throw other people's opinions out the window and do what you know is good for you. Don't care what other people are telling you.
With the same passion as the rest of the team, having the heart and fight of a lion, Watt hopes to inspire other young girls.
She also understands that she's got a lot of people looking at her, and so she's got a lot of younger girls that may be looking up to her. So she understands and knows her role. I don't know. I like being inspirational. I like trying to guide people in the right direction. So I feel like it's pretty cool that I have people looking up to me and watch what I'm doing, and also holds me accountable, so I can do the right things.
And following your passion is always the right thing.
There we go, family on me, family on three.
1, 2, 3, family.
Our thanks to Vince Sims for that report. Watts says she is considering sports in college, including powerlifting and possibly football. She ultimately wants to become a radiologist. Something tells me she's going to accomplish that goal. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stick with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Right now on Morning News Now, race to the finish. In the final dash for the White House, Vice President Kamala Harris embarks on a battleground blitz, touting her commitment to organized labor in Pennsylvania alongside a familiar face.
When union wages go up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, all workplaces are safer. When unions are strong, America is strong.
She has the moral compass of a saint. This woman knows what she's doing. Folks, I promise you, if you elect Kamala Harris as president, will be the best decision you will have ever made.
We've got the latest from the campaign trail with just 1 week until that highly anticipated debate between the vice president and former President Trump. Standing his ground, Israel's prime minister now pushing back on those deafening calls for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Comes on the heels of widespread protests across the country over the discovery of 6 more dead hostages over the weekend. His message of defiance to a grieving nation as the war rages on. Plus, a record-breaking Labor Day weekend for travel-hungry Americans, one that came and went without a lot of fuss at the airports or on the roads. But there were a few bumps. Thousands of hotel workers from Hawaii to Boston hit the picket lines, demanding better pay and better working conditions. How it could all impact your next getaway. And later in the hour, from the depths of the North Atlantic, stunning new images of the Titanic like we have never seen her before. We're going to begin this hour with the race for the White House now, just a little over 2 months away. As we enter this home stretch, Vice President Kamala Harris spent Labor Day on the campaign trail in another battleground blitz. This time she was campaigning alongside President Biden. The pair focused on the working class while praising organized labor. NBC's chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest.
Good morning to you. With Labor Day now in the rearview mirror, the starting gun has officially sounded for the last leg of the 2024 race. Vice President Harris hoping to capitalize on her momentum, notably casting herself as the change agent in this campaign, even though, of course, she is the sitting VP, and insisting despite new polls showing her building an advantage, she remains the underdog.
With just 9 weeks to go, the battle for the White House is now a dramatically changed race. Harris versus Trump, with the current president, Joe Biden, campaigning for the first time alongside his VP, who now tops the Democratic ticket.
She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has the moral compass of a saint. This woman knows what she's doing.
Harris in Pennsylvania, using the Labor Day holiday to emphasize her commitment to union workers.
When union wages go up, everybody everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, all workplaces are safer. When unions are strong, America is strong.
Noticeably off the trail this Labor Day, Mr. Trump, but attacking Harris on his social media platform, writing all Americans are suffering during this holiday weekend. Also over the weekend, the former president sparking new controversy by insisting he had every right to interfere with the 2020 election while repeating his false claim that criminal election interference cases against him are politically motivated.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
The next major moment in this race, the presidential debate, now just 1 week away. Multiple sources familiar with Harris's preparations tell NBC News she's held a series of work sessions between campaign stops and her official duties. Unlike Mr. Trump, who shared the stage with President Biden earlier this summer, it'll be Harris's first debate in nearly 4 years. No public events scheduled today for either Harris or Trump, but this week does mark the beginning of voting season, where the first absentee general election ballots getting mailed out in the key battleground state of North Carolina this Friday. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you so much. Let's talk more about the election with NBC News senior national political reporter John Allen. John, always good to have you with us. So Vice President Harris made her appeal to working class voters and unions in Pennsylvania yesterday. How does her message to them differ from former President Trump? I mean, Trump has made a lot of progress with union workers over the past decade or so, traditionally Democratic voters who've now become Trump supporters.
Yeah, it's a great point you make, Joe. I mean, look, Donald Trump's message to union voters is that he's good for them with policies that are not the same policies that the unions themselves are pushing. So whether that means he's arguing to them that tariffs on China will be good for them, or he is arguing to them on cultural issues, he's connected with a lot of union voters. That said, the way that Harris's message differs from him is that she's basically adopting the line that she is pushing the agenda of unions. And look, there's some significant history to suggest that, the Democratic Party of late has been doing that. They did a $90 billion bailout. And let me say it again, $90 billion bailout of union pensions early on in President Biden's administration. So, whether you're talking about a minimum wage or working conditions or whatnot, the Democratic agenda and platform is much more aligned with what the union leaders want. And yet Trump has made a pretty significant connection with union voters.
So these issues will probably be part of the first presidential debate, which is now a week from today, the first debate between the VP and former president. How do you think each candidate's going to approach this? I mean, as we just heard from Peter, the fact that this is Harris's first debate in nearly 4 years, is that potentially an advantage for Mr. Trump?
There used to be, sort of a conventional wisdom that these debates didn't actually change much in elections. And then the Biden-Trump debate on June 27th changed all that forever. So the approach here for both of them has to be not to knock themselves out of the election. Beyond that, yes, I mean, Trump has an advantage in that he has debated a lot more recently than Kamala Harris has. On the other hand, he skipped the Republican debates earlier this year, so he doesn't have, a large number of debates under his belt since 2020. And in addition to that, he tends to be somewhat predictable, which may be helpful for Harris. It is harder for Trump to know what Harris is like, because last time we saw her on the debate stage was that vice presidential debate against Mike Pence that was largely forgettable. And she has been practicing ever since. In the role of the vice president, she is, I think she's clearly developed and is a much stronger candidate today than she was 4 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
John, there was one thing about that VP debate that was not forgettable, and that was the fly.
The fly, yeah, right on Mike Pence's head.
Right.
All of us who do television at any level have nightmares about that. And
exactly.
They were realized for Mike Pence, who has feathery white hair, and as a result of that, the fly stood out
Hopefully no fly comeback this time. All right, so as we enter this final leg of the race, John, where do things stand in the polls nationally and on the battleground state level? Does it feel like things are kind of baked in now, with the exception of those few swing voters out there who might ultimately determine the battleground states?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would hesitate to say baked in, just because we've seen already this year that it is possible for a race to change trajectory clearly. But if in terms of the question of where the race stands, Donald Trump was on a path to win the race before Democrats switched their candidates. Now Kamala Harris has a small lead, but one that's noticeable, whether you're talking about at that less important national polling level where she's, up a few points in most polls, or you're talking about the battleground states, which actually, matter for the Electoral College, where, again, in most of those states, she's either up a little bit or down a little bit. But it's a different race than it was.
All right. John, good to see you. Thanks so much. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking out for the first time since the bodies of 6 hostages held by Hamas were found in a Gaza tunnel over the weekend. That discovery sparked protests in Israel yesterday as demonstrators clashed with police outside of the Prime Minister's home in Jerusalem. This comes as President Biden says Netanyahu is not doing enough to secure a hostage deal. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Well, I'm here in what Israelis have rechristened as Hostage Square, and it's just one place among many throughout the country where we're going to see a third day of protests demanding a hostage deal.
Today, protests are set to continue after 2 days of street clashes brought Israeli anger right up to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's doorstep, demanding he reach a deal to free the remaining Israeli hostages in the Gaza Strip. The spark that ignited this anger, the discovery of 6 dead hostages in a tunnel in southern Gaza over the weekend.
I think everybody feel like they have to do something.
One of them, American-Israeli Hirsch Goldberg Poland, whose funeral was held yesterday.
Okay, sweet boy, go now on your journey. I hope it's as good as the trips you dreamed about, because finally, my sweet boy, finally, you're free.
President Biden asked about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Do you think he's doing enough? No.
2 people briefed on the discussions, telling NBC News that Biden may offer a final take-it-or-leave-it deal to Israel and Hamas as soon as this week, in hopes of reaching a ceasefire agreement. Yesterday, Netanyahu directly addressing the families of the 6 murdered hostages, saying, "I'm asking your forgiveness that we didn't manage to bring them back still alive," but remaining defiant, saying he won't give way on his demand that Israeli troops remain on Gaza's southern border, a key sticking point in negotiations. Hamas saying in a statement that in response it would send other hostages back in coffins if Israel's military campaign continued. Also releasing this video of one of the 6, Eden Yerushalmi, made under duress before her death. Her family approving airing of part of the video, Eden telling her family she loves and misses them. On Sunday, Eden's father touching his daughter's coffin as he mourned.
So a lot of the focus of the anger on the streets here is the fact that some of these hostages who were found were slated to be released in the first part of some kind of hostage deal. And the fact is that they died because there was no deal. And even though Hamas pulled the trigger, a lot of folks here say Netanyahu is to blame.
All right, Matt, thank you. Labor Day set a new record this weekend as more people traveled for the holiday than ever before. While flying and driving conditions were smooth for the most part, there is a new potential travel hiccup brewing. Thousands of hotel workers are on strike across the U.S. It comes after months of stalled union negotiations with major chains like Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott. Sam Brock is live at Newark International Airport with the latest on all this. Sam, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Look, on the travel side, this absolutely could have been treacherous. Millions of people on the move, and disruptive weather, Joe, was forecast from Florida to Texas. Luckily, that didn't really materialize. Nationwide, we had about 150 cancellations. Not that bad. Some minor hiccups like at Newark, where I am, where there was an outage after radar issues. But as you mentioned, 10,000 hotel workers are striking right now today. For most of them is their 3rd and final day, but thousands of others, Joe, have also authorized a strike if conditions warrant.
For all the buildup around the busiest Labor Day holiday on record, millions of travelers were able to say goodbye to summer, mostly stress-free. Traffic on major corridors like I-95 manageable.
We didn't really experience too much once we got into Jersey.
Yeah. And into Pennsylvania, it wasn't bad at all.
As the airways hummed to the tune of nearly 3 million TSA checkpoints on Friday alone and a projected 17 million for the week. Labor Day Monday did dole out a few bumps, ground stops at Newark and Orlando airports, but saw a fairly typical 5,000 delays and about 150 cancellations. But on the front lines of dozens of hotels, from Boston,
the company doesn't respect us,
to San Francisco and Honolulu, hotel workers traded daily pay for picket signs.
We're going to do whatever it takes for us to have a better contract, better wages, better work conditions.
In all, about 10,000 workers in 9 cities involving dozens of hotels walked off the job at Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt hotels. The Unite Here labor union says each city and corporation has its own negotiations. How significant of a measure is that to decide to strike?
It's never easy for a worker to strike. They like working, they like welcoming guests.
But the union's president says many members have 2 jobs and still can't afford to care for their families or live in the cities where they work. She says corporate job cuts made during COVID have stayed in place. NBC News has reached out to Marriott but has not yet heard back. Hilton and Hyatt both say they're negotiating in good faith, with Hyatt adding, "We have offered competitive wages, health care, and retirement benefits at the hotels that are on strike at this time." Now the fallout felt by visitors and communities alike.
There's a lot of people that they can only afford 1 vacation a year. And then they come here and then they have to deal with that.
And Joe, according to Unite Here, these negotiations have been going on for months. It's not like it just cropped up in the last couple of weeks. We also are looking at a situation where 5,000 workers that had authorized a strike from Provincetown all the way down to Oakland across the country could be striking as soon as this week, Joe.
All right, Sam, thank you so much. For more on this, let's bring in Vice President of Travel and Hospitality at Ketchum PR, Aaron Kokoris, for more on how these hotel strikes could affect your travel plans. Aaron, good to see you. So, like Sam mentioned, today is the last day striking for several of these workers. Started their action over the weekend. We could see new groups start striking throughout this week. What is the impact this can have on, first of all, on guests at these hotels?
It can have a huge impact when you think of all the workers that are going to be impacted by the strike, and that already are. This is everyone from dishwashers to cooks to housekeepers to concierge to doormen. And you think about how that really impacts your hotel experience, especially if you're at one of those 4 or 5-star properties where you come to, expect a level of service that quite honestly you very well may not get. What you may see is you may see restaurants on reduced hours. If you're at a larger, perhaps 4 or 5-star property in Honolulu, for example, you might even see things where the gym is going to maybe 12 hours a day instead of being open for 24 hours a day. So it really can have a wide-ranging impact, as we actually saw back in 2018 with the big Marriott strike.
How could this affect prices? Do they go up and down, or do they go up or down in places where strikes are happening? And if this continues, looking ahead to the winter holiday season, what might that be, the impact there?
Yeah, you're actually exactly right by saying up and down, Joe. It really depends on supply and demand, as you can imagine. So if you're looking at a strike in Honolulu, for example, or San Francisco, those markets have a lot of hotels that are going through this right now. Whereas in Boston, for example, you just have a handful of hotels. So in places like Honolulu and places like San Francisco, it may actually drive up prices because they're going to be taking a lot of rooms out of inventory from a large amount of hotels, which will obviously drive prices up. Now, if you're in Boston, for example, it may, I don't suspect it will really impact prices too much in some of those markets where we don't see a lot of hotels on strike, at least at the moment. And I don't anticipate any big issues within those markets.
So let's talk about tips for people who are considering booking a hotel that might be impacted by a strike. What should they consider?
Well, a very good resource that a lot of people actually don't know about is a website called fairhotel.org, and it's super easy to use, super user-friendly. All you really have to do is take a few seconds and go on there, and you can type in the city you're traveling to, and it will not only list out the hotels that are currently on strike, but the hotels that are also at risk of striking. And as you're vacation planning, or if you're a business traveler, that can be a very valuable resource to know what kind of experience you can expect, or if you should perhaps rebook.
Before we let you go, just looking at the current state of the hotel industry, what are some of the best ways people can get the best deals when they're booking hotels, not just during the holidays, but just anytime they travel?
Yes, first and foremost, always book direct with the hotel and leverage those loyalty programs. For example, if you're staying at a Hilton hotel and you usually don't stay at Hilton hotels, so you think, oh, maybe I'm not going to sign up for the loyalty program, sign up anyways, because it will offer you discounts that you're not going to get anywhere else. There are a lot of sweet spots for booking either far out or last minute in terms of getting a good deal as well. If you want to book 4 or 5 months out, I always advise that. Or if you want to book last minute, there's a lot of inventory that comes up last minute, particularly as business travelers cancel their trips. And then also, we cannot forget AAA and AARP. I've had many stays where I've saved as much as $20 or $30 a night, so that can really add up fast if you're staying 4 or 5 nights. And a fun fact about AARP, you can be any age to join. So you don't have to be in your 50s or 60s or 70s or onward. You can be 25 and join.
A lot of people don't realize that. And how cool is that? You can tell people, hey, I'm 25 and I'm in AARP.
Exactly.
All right, Aaron Kokora, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good to see you, Joe.
Some more international news now. The Department of Justice says that a plane used by Venezuela's president is now in U.S. custody. Federal authorities seized the aircraft in the Caribbean and brought it to Florida. It comes at a politically turbulent time in Venezuela following a disputed national election. NBC's Jesse Kirsch is in Fort Lauderdale with the latest on this. Jesse, good morning.
Joe, good morning. The U.S. government says that seized plane was taken to a hangar here at this airport north of Miami, and now we're told it is being treated as a giant piece of evidence.
This morning, the U.S. ramping up pressure on Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. In a dramatic move, federal authorities seized his plane and brought it to the United States. The Department of Justice says Maduro has used this Dassault Falcon 900EX to visit other countries, like it's his own version of Air Force One.
So we've seized this aircraft in violation of U.S. sanctions and other criminal matters that we're looking at with this aircraft.
The Justice Department says a Maduro-affiliated shell company in the Caribbean illegally purchased the plane valued at roughly $13 million from a Florida-based company and smuggled it to Venezuela in April of last year, in what they say is a direct violation of U.S. sanctions that prohibit doing business with the Maduro regime. The U.S. government says the plane has flown almost exclusively to and from a military base in Venezuela, but the AP reports it had been in the Dominican Republic since March for possible maintenance.
So it's more of a messaging tactic than anything else. So the question now, I think, for the Maduro government is, will the U.S. seize people? That would be the real significant escalation, not the seizure of assets.
The Venezuelan government blasted the seizure, accusing the United States of piracy.
All of this comes as Venezuela continues to be plagued by domestic strife in the aftermath of its widely disputed election. The U.S. government has accused Maduro of falsely claiming victory without showing evidence. And just yesterday, Venezuelan authorities called for the arrest of Maduro's opponent. Joe.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much. Prepare for puddles. Rain is headed for the south this week. For more on that, what else to expect in your area, let's get a check on your morning News Now weather with meteorologist Angie Lassman. Angie, good morning.
Hi there, Joe. Grab the umbrella. Folks across parts of the south are going to need it over the next couple of days as we gear up for some prolonged rain. Here's what's happening right now. Most of that rain is centered across central Texas. You can see that's where we've got flood watches already in effect. A couple of spots of flood warnings also at this point, but San Angelo right in the bullseye of where some of the worst of the flooding is occurring right now. This heavy rain is going to be kind of the similar picture of what we'll see over the next few days as we have a couple of things going on. We've first got a stationary front that's leaving us unsettled across parts of Texas. We've also got a low that's sitting near the coast near the Gulf Coast here in southern portions of Texas and in Mexico that's going to keep us also dealing with some of that heavy rain. So what do we need to know for the next couple of days? The rain is in the forecast. The flooding will be a potential, at least for parts of Texas today. But then notice as we get through tomorrow, that scattered rain is going to stretch from Texas to Florida. We'll keep that front kind of sitting right over top of it, and plenty of moisture we'll be able to tap into. So the rain chances, the flooding concerns will be there specifically today, right around San Angelo and down towards the coast, Corpus Christi included in that as well. But over the next couple of days, a good amount of rain and already on some saturated grounds is going to be possible. So up to 4 inches in some of those higher amounts, something to watch for. Otherwise, great conditions across the Northeast. 30s. It feels like fall, waking up to cooler conditions and less humidity across that region. Plenty of sunshine for the middle of the country. But by the time we get into the midweek and beyond, temperatures really turn up here as we get to the parts of the Southwest. By Thursday specifically and into Friday, we'll be dealing with the potential for some triple-digit temperatures, Joe. So summer not gone at all in parts of the Southwest United States, but a different story for
They're also used to a later summer usually.
Exactly.
There. When I lived there, I had to adjust to that as well. All right,
Precisely.
Angie, good to see you. Thank you so much. Much more to come on this hour of morning news now, including one more pesky price hike for consumers to worry about. Costco raising its membership rates. We're going to break down if it's still worth it for your wallet. But first, after the break, an alarming incident overseas caught on camera. We're going to bring you this shocking video of a group of young Turkish nationalists attacking 2 U.S. Marines. Stay with us. Those stories and much more up next. We're back now with the latest on a troubling incident caught on camera. This video shows the moments when 2 Marines on leave in Turkey were attacked by a large group of young nationalists. NBC News Chief International Correspondent Keir Simmons has more on what happened.
Hey there, good day to you. The US Navy has multiple warships in this region, in the waters of Iran and in the eastern Mediterranean. Now the National Security Council saying in a statement it is troubled by the assault on 2 US Marines and that Turkish police are taking the matter seriously. This morning, Turkey says 15 people have been detained after 2 US Marines were physically assaulted in broad daylight while on a break during a scheduled port visit. The violent scene caught on camera shows several men holding the Marines, who were not in uniform, by force and placing a bag over one of their heads. At one point, one man, unable to break free, shouting for help. According to local officials, a group of 15 people, including 13 men and 2 women, attacked the service members who had been dressed in civilian clothes. The mob, part of a nationalist, anti-American youth group, were immediately apprehended. Officials say 5 other Marines were involved. The 2 Marines who were attacked are assigned to the 24th Expeditionary Unit on board the USS Wasp and were taken to a local hospital as a precaution, but sustained no injuries, according to a Navy spokesperson. The Turkish nationalist group, describing themselves online as soldiers of struggle for a fully independent Turkey, posting the assault on social media and writing, US soldiers who carry the blood of our soldiers and thousands of Palestinians on their hands cannot dirty our country, adding, every time you step into these lands, we will welcome you as you deserve. The USS Wasp is part of a massive US Navy deployment in the Middle East, including 2 aircraft carriers that's aimed at deterring Iran amid rising tensions over the war in Gaza. With all that US firepower concentrated in this region, it is notable that Iran has not launched a direct attack on Israel since April. That being said, the US Navy is stretched, and this incident just underscores the challenges of this deployment.
All right, Keir, thank you so much. More international headlines now. A tragic scene outside a school in eastern China after a bus crashed into a crowd, killing at least 11 people. NBC's Claudio Lavanga has that and some other world news. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. Police in China says that at least 11 people were killed and 13 others were injured after a bus crashed into a crowd just outside a school there. Now, it happened outside a middle school in the city of Taiyan in eastern China, where at around 7 o'clock in the morning, local time, the bus lost control and killed at least 5 students who were waiting to get in and 6 parents. The bus driver has been arrested and an investigation has been launched. Let's move to Mongolia now, where Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived on an official visit. He was given a warm welcome by the country's president, who has so far resisted calls to have Putin arrested. Mongolia is a member country of the International Criminal Court, which has issued an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin 18 months ago. Experts believe it's unlikely Mongolia will carry out the arrest, as the landlocked country depends heavily on Russia for fuel and electricity. The ICC does not have a mechanism to enforce its arrest warrants. And let's end this tour of the world with some news that are difficult to digest, especially for Italians. Heinz has launched spaghetti carbonara in a can. Now, guys, Joe, I'm sure you had carbonara before. It's spaghetti cooked with eggs, pecorino cheese, a type of cured pork called guanciale, and black pepper. Well, if you had it, you also know that it needs to be eaten hot, as it can turn into a mush quite quickly. So I don't even know how they manage to put it in a can. So just to remind you what a real carbonara looks like, I decided to cook one myself. Carbonara can, Joe, I personally cannot. Buon appetito.
I love it. Carbonara, my favorite Italian pasta dish. I'll be right over, Claudio. Yours looks way, 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 way better than the can.
Yeah, I'll save some.
Thanks, Claudio. All right, coming up, we are going to head back to school here on Morning News now with some tips on how you can keep your family healthy, both physically and mentally this fall. The doctor is in next. Welcome back. Kids across the country are heading back to school, some today, some already have. And keeping their minds and bodies healthy is a top priority, of course, for most parents. So let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel, who's here with some tips to help keep your kids well throughout the entire year. Dr. Patel, always good to have you with us. Let's start with getting ready to return to school. Just how important right now this time of year are those annual physicals and checkups?
Yeah, Joe, they're incredibly important. Some of you have already probably done this, but if not, it should be on your checklist to try to get done, and especially this fall because we've got a new COVID shot that's out and is available around the country in the next several weeks for children 6 months and above. And of course, school-age children, we don't want to forget the flu, and there are some other vaccines depending on how old you are. I also try to pack in there a dental visit. You should get a cleaning at least every 6 months, but this is also a good time to just schedule the annual physical and that dental visit at the same time. And they can monitor all sorts of things, including just talking to your children about what's normal. For some of your kids going through puberty, this is the right time to have that educational time with the health professional and with the parent. All good things to do in an annual physical.
All right, so we've always heard that expression, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Is that true, and is it true for kids?
All right, so it's always good to provide nutritious meals, but parents, do not beat yourself up if it's breakfast that you can't concentrate on because your kids are trying to get out the door. Try to think of ways that you can give them something on the go. There's other ways to put them in a little baggie while you're getting them on the bus or getting them in the car, but make sure that you've got something that keeps your child alert and focused. I also just start with the basics: water, hydration. Encourage your child to drink water. Limit those sugary drinks. Often it can be tempting to just go out the door with something that's got a lot of sugar in it, like some juices. Swap it out for just that bottle of water. That can even be the kickstart you need in the morning.
Finally, we spoke about this earlier this morning, but let's talk about mental health. How do you keep kids grounded if anxiety kicks in? And how do parents stop getting stressed themselves?
Right. I think, Joe, I'm glad you brought up the parents being stressed themselves. I'll start there. So first thing about anxiety is to kind of talk about it. I think so much of anxiety, especially children when they're going back to school, or despite they might be really excited to go to school, they might just have some nervousness about new teachers, new encounters, new classmates. They might be experiencing things in a cyber setting. Remember, kids are on devices. So talking to them and being very open with them, and that means admitting your own anxiety. So I even tell my own children, I don't like it when I do something new. It always makes me feel a little nervous and my tummy feels kind of funny. How do you feel sometimes? And so it's really just giving them those verbal prompts. And then stress management techniques. We've talked about this, Joe. You can do it. I can do it. Kids can do it. Meditation, deep breathing, box breathing, where you kind of hold the breath in and you just settle your body and then you breathe out. And then just exercise. Remember, we want to get kids exercising. That has a lot to do with mental health and can help all around.
I love that more and more schools are actually teaching meditation as well. They're making that part of the curriculum. So, all right, Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Attention all Costco members, the store's new plan to hike membership fees is now in effect. This is actually the first time the popular wholesale club has raised the price of its membership fee in 7 years. The move is said to affect roughly 52 million members. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here with more on this. So walk us through this increase.
Sure.
Is this going to surprise customers? They pretty much know about it by now.
Yeah, they telegraphed this earlier this summer. And so if you are renewing your membership or getting a new membership, it's going to be $5 to $10 $30 more. That executive membership will be up to $130. The other memberships are more in $65. So, you know, it's the first time they've raised these prices in 7 years. And I think it's not really that big of a surprise to so many of these people. You know, Sam's Club did it a few years ago, and you're actually paying subscription fees for just about everything. You know, Walmart Plus has one, Amazon Prime. You know, so to shop, you're paying to shop. The big box, these were the first ones. The membership stores were sort of the model, and now others are.
They're like the OG, and now people don't realize. A lot of people sign up for this because they're saving money by shopping wholesale. Are they still saving money even after this, and how does this compare with competitors?
So one survey shows that if you buy bulk household stuff, you know, like toilet paper, paper towels and stuff, you save 27%. It's 27% cheaper to buy it at the big box stores. Also, if you have this executive membership, you earn 2% back. So, like, I pay for my membership fee every year because I have 3 very hungry children and I buy a lot of food. So, you know, that pays for it. There's also a lot of savings on travel services if you book directly, and real deep discounts on gas and groceries, of course, and also the food at the front of the store.
Yeah. So anytime someplace raises a membership fee, whether it's Netflix or whether it's something like Costco, the worries, is this going to discourage people from signing up? What do we think is going to happen?
So I think it'll be interesting to see, because people are very price sensitive right now. When you look at Walmart Plus, they actually have a special half-price fee for college students. So as we head into the fall, there are some good deals out there. Target Circle also has a membership fee. They're also offering 20% off store-wide purchases for college students. That's a really big value if you have a kid going to school. So I think at the same time, you could see people trying to match the price increase, but also offering these other discounts to try to get your business as we head into the fall.
Hot dogs. Still there.
$1.50.
Okay.
That's never going to change.
All right, that's good. But you have to have the card to get in now, right?
That's
right.
Like
the thing,
That's
right?
absolutely right.
Okay.
A big value there are the pizzas. If you go in there, order the pizzas, shop, take them home, it's the cheapest pizza in the world.
All right. Hack right there from Christine Romans. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, coming up, we're going to take you deep beneath the North Atlantic Ocean for a stunning new look at the Titanic and the discovery of one long-lost treasure thought to have been lost at sea. That's up next. Stay with us. We're getting a look this morning at new images of the wreckage of the Titanic in the Atlantic Ocean. The first expedition in 14 years by the American company that holds salvage rights is revealing some dramatic changes to the ship, which has been underwater for more than a century. NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobiea joins us now from London with more on this. Kelly, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Yeah, this is the Titanic as you've never seen it before. Researchers with the RMS Titanic spent 20 days at the site of the Titanic's wreckage over the summer. They used unmanned robotic submersibles to capture more than 2 million of the highest resolution pictures ever and 24 hours of high-definition footage. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a new look at the legendary Titanic. These fresh images exposing an altered landscape 2.5 miles underwater. The ship's most recognizable feature, the iconic bow, showing signs of inevitable decay. A 15-foot-long portion of its famous railing broken off, now on the ocean floor.
That railing on the port side is gone, and that's a big deal to us because Titanic's face is forever changed.
The lost, rusted railings seen in these earlier photos, part of the same spot that decades later would become the iconic backdrop for one of the most romantic scenes in film history.
I'm flying!
These new high-definition images taken by remotely operated state-of-the-art cameras. The RMS Titanic team looked at every inch of the historic wreckage and debris field, spotting striking new details and tiny artifacts lost for more than a century.
You'll see a person's ring in the sand. I saw a ring of keys at one point that maybe belonged to a steward. I mean, the fine details that we got into were just so exciting.
Some of its hidden treasures include this 2-foot-tall statue known as the Diana of Versailles, once the centerpiece of the ship's first-class lounge. The infamous ocean liner sank over a century ago after hitting an iceberg back in 1912 during its maiden voyage. 1,500 people lost their lives.
You jump high, jump right.
The disaster inspiring an Oscar-winning film and countless tales. The expedition team now plans to create a detailed 3D scan of the entire site, racing against time to document the world's most famous shipwreck to keep its memory alive.
Titanic is changing every day, and we lose more and more of her every day. There will be a day where the last bit of Titanic blows away in a current. So she's going. We're on the clock here.
So really, the biggest concern is preserving the ship and its artifacts. But as you heard there, the clock is ticking. This company is the only one with rights to recover artifacts from the Titanic. And they actually hope to one day to bring the Diana statue back to the surface, possibly by next year. The researchers say it was like looking for a needle in a haystack, Joe. Imagine over that massive debris field in the pitch black darkness. They managed to find it in the final hours of the expedition.
Wow, and that would be extraordinary if they did bring it to the surface. All right, Kelly, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Time now for some money news. The Communications Workers of America has withdrawn from talks with AT&T. The strikes march on. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and some other financial news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, so the Communications Workers of America, as you mentioned, has pulled out of mediation with AT&T. The union argues the company is using the process to stall contract negotiations. More than 17,000 workers represented by the union, including technicians, customer service reps, and others who install and support AT&T's residential and business network have been on strike for the past 3 weeks. Volkswagen is considering shutting factoring in Germany for the first time as it faces mounting price pressures from Asian rivals. VW says all of its brands need to restructure to keep factory label, product, and material costs in check. The company also says it may be forced to end job security protections that have been in place for 30 years. Volkswagen's main union is vowing fierce resistance to the plans. And Joey Chestnut proves his dominance in a winner-take-all contest against his biggest rival, Kobayashi. Chestnut inhaling 83 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's 17 more than Kobayashi in the face-off that was live-streamed yesterday on Netflix. Kobayashi had announced his retirement from competitive eating earlier this year, but said he would return for redemption against Chestnut. Netflix billing the event as unfinished beef.
Are we going to do this every holiday now, or,
Right.
or is it just going to go back to the 4th of July?
It seems that it's every holiday.
All right, we'll see what happens.
We'll
All right,
see.
Silvana, thank you.
You got it.
Let's head to Paris now, where athletes competing in the Paralympics are celebrating what's been a golden summer for Team USA. The U.S. has secured 14 gold medals so far at this year's Paralympic Games. And one of the most recent came from Jason Tabansky in the para-archery men's individual W1 event. The top spot on the podium came down to the last shot, where the first-time Paralympian showed no signs of nerves on the big stage, nailing a perfect 10 to earn his first Paralympic medal. And we are lucky now to be joined by the para-archery gold medalist himself, Jason Tabansky. Jason, good to have you with us. Congratulations. Has it finally sunk in now that you're a gold medalist?
Hey, thanks for having me. No, it still hasn't. I still feel like it's just a dream, but I get to feel this and feel the weight of it, and it reminds me that the mission was accomplished.
It's a good weight to feel, I can imagine. Your path to the podium was certainly not easy. You weren't even going to compete in Paris until late June. So first, you sort of had that disappointment of not making the Olympics. Walk us through that part of this roller coaster ride and how you wrapped your head around getting that call in late June and finding out you were going to compete.
You know, it's like you said, it's been a roller coaster since last year, just barely missing out at World Championships, missing out at Pan American Games, then had a nail biter and a heartbreaker in Dubai at the last chance qualifier. But talking to my coach, my wife, and all my support group, they all encouraged me to just continue to train. And I did. I trained like I was going to be here, trying to convince myself that it wasn't over until the first arrow was fired here in Paris. And, you know, things can happen. And it just so happened that there was a withdrawal from Australia, and I was the next in line, got that call and made sure that I was ready to go, so that when I came here with a purpose, and a sense of validation was earned by me being here and me winning this medal.
That strategy really paid off. Walk us through that last shot, that perfect 10. What was going through your mind, especially when you just released it and you saw it going in there?
Yeah, I mean, I happened to glance up at the Jumbotron, and I saw underneath my name 8 to win, and all I could think of was, Jay, just put it in the middle, put it in the middle, and I saw a blurry green pin, blurry yellow, and I mean, I punched that release harder than I've ever in my life, and thankfully it was right where it needed to be. Next thing you know, I'm screaming and I'm in tears, and the whole world was erupting around me. The French crowd was supporting me. It was surreal. I felt like I was shooting in front of a home crowd.
That's
so it was
awesome.
It was a good lead into LA 28.
And a reminder of just the incredible sportsmanship we've been seeing at both the Olympics and Paralympics this year. You're now the 4th consecutive American man to win an individual gold medal in para-archery at the Paralympics. What has this experience taught you?
I'm really close friends with those previous people that have won those medals. Andre, Kevin, Jeff. It's just something to let people know that just because you're a first timer doesn't mean that you have to come out here and be nervous or know that the competition is going to be extremely difficult. Just come out here, enjoy it, trust your process, trust the training that you've put in, and have fun while you're doing it, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and you're only going to do it that one time, so make it count.
You are also a retired Army Staff Sergeant serving for more than 15 years. That included tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I know you've really relied on other veterans as well throughout this experience, right?
Absolutely. I'm surrounded by a very strong veteran community. I still have friends that are serving active in high-ranking positions. We've come up through the ranks. We came up through training, all the way from basic training through our tech school, had deployments together. They've been an amazing support group, and I couldn't do this without them.
I know you are a Packers fan, and even though I am from Minnesota and I'm a Vikings fan, we're still doing this interview. Talk about what you have planned next, besides watching the Packers as the NFL season kicks off this week. What's planned for you next?
I'm actually going to be at the Packers game at the end of September, the Minnesota versus Packers in Lambeau. It's my first ever pro football game that I'll be to. So I'm excited for that. You guys got lucky and took Aaron Jones from us, but I'm pretty sure that we'll still give him a warm welcome.
That's going to be an awesome experience. You are going to love Lambeau Field. Jason, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it. And enjoy your time here in Paris.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Go Pack, go.
All right, go Pack, go. Coming up, Fighting Back. It was a top 40 anthem released nearly a decade ago. Now Rachel Platten's fight song is clawing back to the spotlight ahead of November's election. Our Chloe Malas talks exclusively with her about that and some new music that fans have been waiting years for. That's next. Stay with us. Finally this hour, an NBC News exclusive interview with fight song singer Rachel Platten. Her first album in 7 years is out today. She sat down with NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas to talk about where she's been and what has inspired this new work.
It's a song that took the world by storm.
This is my fight song.
Rachel Platten's fight song empowering millions, even becoming a political anthem for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential run.
This is my fight song.
Played once again at this year's DNC.
Well, I felt a little torn because fight song was inherently something that was everybody's and not one group's. But at the same time, as a woman, it was hopeful to believe that maybe a woman could be president. I think that same hope is there again now.
But since that meteoric rise, Platten has remained relatively quiet as fans have waited for a new album, 7 years to be exact.
Why the wait? We've all been waiting. Yeah, that's a long time when you say it, right? It's so funny because in that time, so much has happened and so much has changed. I've become a mother. I have 2 little girls.
That wait now over. Platten releasing her 5th studio album this week, titled I Am Rachel Platten.
This record is me to my core.
Telling NBC News in an exclusive sit-down interview that the inspiration came from her battle with postpartum depression after the birth of her daughters.
I won't let the bad thoughts take the wheel.
While I was on tour, I started having symptoms of postpartum depression. I didn't recognize it at the time, and part of my recovery was writing poetry and then simple songs. It was almost like I was taking such baby steps with myself, such delicate steps.
This winter's been forever. Does it feel like someone's stretching out time?
And I know it's actually the first song I ever wrote for this album. And it wasn't intentionally for this album. It was just a song to comfort myself at the time, you know, just to help myself understand what was happening to me and the fear and the panic attacks. I really didn't know if I'd ever be able to be on stage again.
But Platten says she's ready for this next chapter, even hopping up on stage for an impromptu jam session during our interview.
My first proper gig in New York City was at 1 a.m. and I showed up at the Bitter End. This spot is legendary for artists.
The Bitter End is a music landmark, the hallowed stage a breeding ground for some of music's biggest stars, like Bob Dylan, Lady Gaga, Neil Diamond, Simon and Garfunkel, and even Taylor Swift.
I started eventually to get my own nights here, and I'd pack it with like college friends and family. I'd beg second cousins to come, tell coworkers, and I was begging anyone I could to fill the place. They'd let you back if you could sell out the room.
Since then, Platten's hard work paying off with hits like Stand By You and Better Place.
It's a better place since you came along.
Even taking the stage with Swift herself. Now as Platten embarks on her latest project, she took us on a trip down memory lane.
We're on my street.
Through the streets of downtown Manhattan that built her, and at times broke her down. Even the apartment where her life changed forever.
Where is the Fight Song apartment?
It's that 5th floor walk up there. I haven't been back here in 12 years. Yeah, it's really, really wild. I was such a different person.
What does it feel like to be living in this moment right now?
It's everything that I didn't even know I was dreaming of. You know, it's exactly what I hoped for and didn't know that it was going to be possible. In my wildest dreams, that girl could not have imagined that this one would be standing here one day, having achieved everything I was working so hard for and that I never gave up on.
Platten's resilience that kept her going for the last 2 decades, now giving way to what she says is her most meaningful work to date.
How did your children inspire this album?
I talk a lot in the press about my postpartum, the deep depression that I sunk into, but I don't often talk about their magic and their absolute inner beauty and outer beauty and sparkle and their courage and how they inspire me. And they really do. I have a song called Girls, and it's something that was such a personal little love letter to my daughters and also to myself and to all of us women and to all of us girls.
The wind is at your back, the world is at your feet.
Chloe Malas, NBC News, New York.
Sounds like an absolutely beautiful album. All right, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. News continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.